Hi friends, my name is Al or Lilstarnerd, and welcome to today's video. Today is a classic painting video. We're just doing some art, so grab whatever you're working on and you can work with me. But today's painting is one that I'm specifically really excited and passionate about. I think it's a really cool project that I was feeling very inspired about and very inspired by. It was a really cool experience and I just had a really good time doing it. I'll save the bulk of the discussion for the voiceover and the process, but I do want to say that this is all about my mom and my relationship with her. I'm really lucky to have an amazing mom. She's one of my best friends and I love her so much. And I feel like everyone, whether it's good or bad, everyone has a complicated relationship with their mother. This whole thing started from the quote, "We were girls together," and I saw quite a few TikToks all about people's relationship with their moms and thinking about the fact that when their mom and maybe even their grandma, although this is not how science works, when their mom's mom was a child, that egg was inside the mom and your mom's egg was inside, we were all there together. And that is definitely not how biology works, but it's a really cool thought that my life has been predetermined by my mom and my grandmas. And I don't know, it's so fascinating to me. There's also, if I can find it, I'll put it up here, but there's this Tumblr post and it's like when girls think about the life that their mother gave up or whatever. And I think about that all the time, about all the things that my mom didn't get to do because she chose to be a mom, and how I would like to be able to do some of those things for and or with her. And I don't know, I'll talk about it later, but I'm just really excited about this piece. And there's a lot of meaning to it, and it's just so special to me. I love taking any chance I can to celebrate my mom, and Mother's Day is coming up. And I also like to celebrate all the women in my life. And March was Women's History Month, and it's a great time to celebrate women and women that are important to you, like my mom. So when Anna Louisa told me about their campaign to celebrate strong and amazing women, I knew that this would be perfect for this video. Anna Louisa is a jewelry company. I'm sure you've heard about them. I love them. I've worked with them before, and I think they're great. You can have beautiful jewelry that shines without worrying about damaging the planet. Because Anna Louisa creates jewelry with the planet in mind, and they're actually a carbon neutral company. They have speedy delivery all around the world and free shipping in the US. And 100% of pieces are strength and humidity tested, so you know that what you're getting is quality and will last. And although I'm sure you're going to love what you get, if you're not satisfied, they do replace or reimburse, no questions asked. Anna Louisa jewelry is a great treat for yourself if you're celebrating yourself lately, or a great gift for a loved one like my mom. My mom is not a huge jewelry person, but I know that she loves the stuff from Anna Louisa because Anna Louisa's jewelry is elegant, dainty, sophisticated, simple. It doesn't have to be some big bold statement, but it's still gorgeous despite being kind of subtle, I think this necklace that I'm wearing is a perfect example. I'm obsessed with this. I also think it's very fitting for this painting. I don't know, I think it's really perfect. And I think these earrings are another great example. Despite my mom not being a big jewelry person, I think it's such a huge role in a lot of women or feminine presenting people's lives. I have so many memories based around jewelry growing up with my mom. At least once a year when I was a kid, I would take her jewelry stand off of her dresser and put it on her bed and make her walk me through every single piece of jewelry in there. Her uncle made jewelry, and so I have stuff passed down that was very special to her. Part of Anna Louisa's campaign is that empowered women empower women, and that's absolutely what I want to do. So thank you, Anna Louisa, for helping me empower you guys today. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Anna Louisa, for sponsoring. Make sure you check out, all the links will be down below. Check them out. Now, I am so excited to tell you guys all about this painting and my thought process and everything behind it, so let's just get into it. Let me not stall any longer.
My mother was my first country, the first place I ever lived. Poem by Nayera Wade, Lands from Salt.
I saw a TikTok of a girl who had just seen the quote, "We were girls together," and she thought about the fact that women are born with all the eggs that they will ever have. So when your mom was a girl, or even when your grandmother was a girl, she carried not only herself, but your mother and you. which, like I said, that's not really how biology works, but it is like a really nice, comforting, poetic thought. The idea that I was with my mother every step of her life is something that I find really fun and cool and comforting. My mom has been there for every difficult and amazing moment of my life, and so it's cool to think that, like, I was there for her too. Sort of. There's something so warm about the idea that my mom and I are, like, tied together in this way, that my life has been mapped out or something based on hers, but, like, in a good way. Like, I have my mother's wisdom to back me up forever. My mom was really into photography growing up, and as a young adult, she did weddings, worked at a studio for a while, but then I guess I don't know the storyline. I don't know the timeline, but she got married and was ready to start a family and stuff, and I guess she kind of left all of that behind. Of course, she still took some beautiful photos, but she didn't do it professionally anymore, as I understand it. I've always loved to look through the old family photos with her and have her explain, like, the stories and who people were. And her photos, not even her, like, really artsy, like, purposely taken photos, but just her natural artistic eye kind of photos were my favorite. Lately, I've been pulling a lot of those photos to draw or paint or use as inspiration, and I have a quote-unquote series in which I paint old family photos and memories. When I pull the photos I want to recreate, I pick them because they call to me artistically, you know? They have beautiful composition, color, they tell a story, but so often my mom will kind of, like, scoff at the photos that I pick and be like, "That's the one that you want to paint? Like, I didn't even know why I took that picture." And I always find it so, like, I don't know, not heartbreaking, but, like, frustrating because, like, not only does she not do something she once loved and was good at, but she's also, like, almost mocking her younger self for it too, you know? And I realized a while ago, like, that's fine. She doesn't have to remember why she took them or liked those photos. I can do that for her. That's part of the reason that I love to paint her pictures or her family memories. Like, I can carry that stuff for her, you know? It's also cool to think that, like, me and my mom are doing, like, this painting together. Like, many years ago, she had the idea, and today I can, like, share it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's really cool that we're working on something together. But not just me and my mom, but, like, me and my teenage mom. Like, my mom when she was a teenager. I think that's really cool. Like, through time, we are working on this painting together. There are a lot of things that my mom gave up to be a mom, and of course she chose to do that, and she lived plenty of life and did a lot of stuff she wanted to do before she had kids. But as someone who really does not want kids at all, or even, like, major responsibilities for a while, partly because I am unwilling to make that sacrifice, the idea of my mom having to give up so much is one that really saddens me. It seems unfair that my mom hasn't gotten to do what she wanted to do, or her own hobbies, or, like, I don't know, like, anything for so long. I picture her as a teenager or a young woman my age, and I think, like, that's me too, you know? It's a bit selfish and arrogant sounding to think that I can make up for lost time for her, but I think, like, my mom can still experience those things as long as I'm here, right? I'll mention places I want to visit, things I want to do, and she'll say, like, you know, if you have no one to go with you, like, I'd like to go there, I'll go with you. And, like, of course you can come if you want to come, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. I don't care who else is coming. Like, of course you're invited. And somehow, truly, I don't have the words to properly explain this very complicated feeling, like, internal web of thoughts I have about this. I've been trying to, like, articulate it. I really can't. But somehow all of this leads back to the idea of, like, we were girls together. I watched that TikTok and I thought of that quote, and I wanted to paint something that captured that feeling. We were girls together. You know, it's a loaded quote. I believe it originates from a Toni Morrison book or story, Sula. It's about the idea of female friendship, the impact it has, all that stuff. But the quote on its own, taken out of context, has 1,001 meanings. And in this instance, I'm interpreting it in its most literal and innocent way. Simply, like, we were young together. We were friends. So I had this idea to find photos of me as a kid and then my mom as a kid and paint us together. I started with photos of my mom, and it was actually, like, a struggle to find what I was looking for. I didn't know for sure what I was looking for, but I did know that I'd recognize it when I saw it. Of course, I never saw it. It didn't really work out. I pulled a few different photos to work with, a couple of which were a bit older, which I wasn't really going for, and a couple of which were old school photos. So then when it came to finding a photo of me, I knew I probably would have to find a photo that I could stitch my mom's face onto. That also took a bit of work to find the right kind, and I had to pull a few different pictures of myself, but my mom, who was helping me look, pulled a photo that when I saw it, like, I knew that was exactly what I was looking for. It was an old photo of me and a sibling and then a family friend in a peach orchard back in Virginia. The family friend was someone we had known back in Florida before we moved away, and this was probably one of the last few times they came to visit. I had no idea how old I was in this photo, but my mom said I was about 5 or like 6 years old, and then in my mom's photo she was actually 8, but I put her on like another 5 or 6 year old's body, so I think it looks okay. Like, I think we look the same age. But the photo of me was just like so perfect. Not only would it be so easy to stitch my mom's face on top, but the lighting and the vibes and the colors and the setting were just so spot on to like the feeling that I wanted. It felt like a really nice, soft memory, but it also felt believable. Like it was neutral ground for both me and my mom. It wasn't inserting one or the other into an impossible timeline or something out of character. And I loved the composition, the colors, so I knew this would be like the perfect photo. Once I had the pictures picked out, I scanned them and put them both into Photoshop. I had to edit a kid out and edit my mom's face onto another kid. Then I had to color correct her face because the original photo was super aged and damaged. Not to mention she had to like match the environment's lighting. Then I had to like fix the background. It wasn't too hard, especially considering all I really had to do was make a workable reference photo, so it didn't have to be like perfect and totally believable in Photoshop. I knew that I wanted this to be a bit on the larger size, simply so I'd have space to properly add detail to the faces. In general, when I change the size of a painting, but I still want to use the grid method, it has to be the right proportions. So I used a ratio converter and ended up at 10 by 15 inches. And because it was pretty big, I knew I wanted to use a medium that could cover large areas easily. So that rules out like markers and colored pencils. And of course, it needs to be able to layer and be opaque. So watercolor was out. I didn't think I could cover the area and be as detailed and saturated as much as I wanted with that medium. And with gouache, I didn't want to use that on such a large scale, but also I didn't want to deal with the reactivation. So that basically left me with acrylic gouache and acrylic, because like, duh, I'm not going to use oil for this. I didn't want to use acrylic gouache because I only have so many tubes of that and the color palette just wasn't what I needed for this piece, which left me with acrylics. At first I was like, hell no, absolutely not. But then I was like, actually, yes. Back in December, I ended up using acrylic on paper and surprisingly really enjoyed the process. Acrylic is something that every time I use it, I feel like I like it less and less. But that was because I was using it on canvas, and as I'm sure you guys know by now, I don't like canvas. So after using it on paper for the first time, I was shocked to find out that it was way more enjoyable. I wanted to keep experimenting with it, but I only did it one other time doing the scrub days a few months ago. And again, I really enjoyed the process. In that bird painting video, I talked about how I've heard Prickly Alpaca talk about how she uses acrylic almost like gouache when on paper, like by layering it and stuff. And I think I definitely got close to experiencing that this time. Like I think I maybe did that. I'm just so glad I ended up using acrylic. The process of layering was like so interesting and fun. The process went really smoothly. I started out with the faces, and I thought I would go through the regular warm-up, the ugly stage. And while it wasn't a completed masterpiece within seconds, there really was no struggle. There was no major ugly stage. I didn't have to warm up and get used to the medium and kind of figure out what I was doing. Oftentimes there will just be this period when I start out of like settling into the project, and there wasn't that period. It went so smoothly, like right away, so quickly. It was crazy. And it was like fast. I definitely had to work at the faces, especially my mom's for a bit, but the acrylic just worked so beautifully. And like within minutes, it felt like I had something that I really liked. They layered so well. The layers dried really fast so I could get that detail in right away. It really did almost work like gouache or acrylic gouache, which, obviously isn't a crazy stretch because acrylic gouache is like acrylics. But still, it was just such an enjoyable process, and I've gotten so used to dreading using acrylics that it was just, it was nice to slowly, I'm relearning liking them. I think I got such a beautiful effect with acrylics. They were perfect for this piece. Like, I'm just so glad I picked acrylics to use. I don't think I could have had a final piece that I liked as much as I do if I didn't use them. And I really need to use acrylic on paper more often. I really want to use it in my sketchbook. I think the main issue with using acrylics is that my palette is really not what I want it to be. Whenever I use them, I find that I'm really lacking in certain areas. Like I often end up with really dull and muted colors. For this piece, for skin tones, I ended up needing neon pink just to like punch up my colors, because whenever I mixed in the white, the colors would get so dull. I can't even quite explain it, and I experienced this with the Zorn palette doing oils too. But I felt like there was this liveliness and saturation and punchiness missing from my palette. And I feel like I can only achieve that when I'm mixing in like these neons. Otherwise, just everything seems to get so like dull and muted so fast. I definitely need to invest in some more fun colors, some pinks that aren't neon but will hold their saturation, some greens because I literally only have one green, some yellows and more Naples yellow, which I really am enjoying. But I found that like when I do go to find some more acrylics, I feel like none of the colors are what I'm looking for. I don't know, it's been really difficult. It will definitely take some experimentation and time to figure it all out. Sometimes I go half and half between, like, I do enjoy limited palettes, but I found every time I have been picking up something like oils or acrylics, I've been really enjoying pulling a lot of different colors. While I definitely enjoy the cohesiveness that a limited palette can give you and having to mix all your own colors, I do find that, like, the more colors I have, the more interesting stuff I can create. So I would really like to look into, exploring my palette options, and I really want to find, I don't know if maybe it's the quality of paints or what, but I really would like to find some colors that can be opaque and like full-bodied without needing white to thicken it up. Like paints that can really like hold their saturation and stuff. And it's not like, I look at some of the stuff that I've done with acrylics and it's not like it's totally lacking saturation, but I feel like everything, like, I don't know, I use a lot of white and I feel like it all kind of, I can't even explain it. But like I'll want some beautiful, like really vibrant, like orangey, peachy color, and I just can't achieve it because I have too much white. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys get it? Anyways, back to the painting process. I originally wasn't sure if I wanted to start with the figures or the background. For pieces like this, where it's kind of complex and kind of different parts interacting, or more like not interacting, I guess, I like to work from back to front. Like there are definitely some pieces where I do the subject and then piece in the background. But for something like this, where there are elements that are on top of each other, it makes the layering process a lot more fluid to go back to front. It's easier to have a background that I can work on top of rather than, some perfect figures that I then have to carefully trace around, especially with things like my hair blowing in the wind. That was something that would need to be done after the background no matter what. So I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I knew that the background I should do that first. But I didn't want to do the background, but also I wanted to start with like the most interesting part of the painting first. For one, I was just so excited to start this piece, and obviously like the subject matter being me and my mom, I was most excited to do that. Like that was the focal point. So I wanted to just jump in and enjoy it, but also I feel like sometimes I leave the most interesting parts of my pieces for the last part of the video, and not everyone watches till the end. So I thought, like, let's start with the fun stuff this time so that can be kind of first in the video, so I can just show it off. And I'm glad I went with that choice. Of course, I ran out of steam a bit when it came to the background. When do I not? I never like doing the background. But overall, like, I had a lot of fun with the process. From start to finish, it was just so fun and so interesting, and I feel like I did something that is really original and meaningful, and I'm really proud of it.
I heard you say you found the story all tucked away in the back of the room. Been lost for years, far away from the glory, in the midst of our day-to-day routine, in the corner of our minds. We're not in bloom, we're not in mourning to raise the truth. It takes more than will. Among the things I like to do, craving is one for two, and the light of the day that passes on will somehow be gone.
I'm in love with it. I think the background in the viewfinder, this is slaying, first of all. The background is a lot more like simple than I wanted it to be, but also I don't do this, like I don't do that. You know what I mean? This is so typical for me to be like, the background isn't like, obviously, of course I didn't do the background. When have I ever done the background? But I have to say, I am just super, super pleased with how me and my mom turned out. I think it's adorable. She poked her head in earlier when I was working on it, and it was like about halfway done, and she was like, oh my God, it's looking so cute. So I'm really excited to show her like the final product. I think it's really cute. It's exactly what I wanted, and it's like, I don't know, I made it, but it still feels kind of surreal, and it's not photorealistic, but it's like so cool that I have this like fake childhood memory of me and my mom. I don't know, I love it. I could sit here and nitpick it, like there's definitely parts that are not complete or great, but overall, I'm really pleased with it, and I don't think it's worth picking it apart. I am just happy with it. I'm really enjoying looking at it in the viewfinder. This was so, I genuinely don't have the words for it. It was not like it was not an emotional roller coaster of a project, but it was something that was so fun. The whole process, finding the original photos, talking with my mom, doing this, and like what it means to me, and I hope what it means to her. Fulfilling, I think, is the right term. It was very fulfilling, and it feels very special. There's something really cool about being able to kind of like write your own history. I don't know. Being an artist is cool and special, and I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, the whole shebang. Thank you again to Ana Luisa for giving me this beautiful jewelry, giving my mom some beautiful jewelry, and giving you guys some beautiful jewelry. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you check me out on all my stuff, you know, my stuff. I'll talk to you guys later. Go check out Ana Luisa. Go give your mom or someone special in your life a hug, and go do some art. Bye.